Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cody and tonight I will be bringing you my 2022 NRL season review of the Sydney Roosters. The Roosters finished in the top 8 this year, finishing in 6th place, scoring a total of 32 points, playing a total of 25 games, counting the finals, with scoring 15 wins and 10 losses, counting the one loss in their elimination final against their rivals, the Rabbitohs, as well. The Roosters scored a total of 635 points in the regular season, adding on the 14 points they scored in their elimination final loss, scoring a total of 649 points for the season. While the Roosters conceded a total of 434 points in the regular season, and also conceded 30 points in their elimination final loss, adding on the 30 points, scoring a total of 464 points they conceded for the season. The Roosters' points differential was positive 201 in the regular season, and counting the finals with their loss was a points differential of a positive 185. The Roosters' home record for this year was great, with a total of 9 wins and 3 losses. And counting the finals game, they had a home final at Allianz, so it was a total of 9 wins and 4 losses for the season. While the Roosters' away record was 6 wins and 6 losses, and in their last 5 games between rounds 21 and 25, winning their last 5 in the regular season. The Roosters' first game of the year in round 1 was a shocking result for them, as the Newcastle Knights upset them 20 points to 6 at the SCG, before rebounding against the Manly Sea Eagles in the following week in round 2 at the SCG again, winning 26 points to 12. The following week in round 3, the Roosters would lose to their arch nemesis, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, at Accor Stadium 28 points to 16, before beating the Cowboys up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville 28 points to 4, and then beating the other Queensland team, one of the other Queensland teams, Brisbane Broncos 24 points to 20 at Suncorp Stadium, before returning to the SCG in round 6 to beat the Warriors 22 points to 14. In round 7, the Roosters would take on the Dragons in the annual Anzac Day clash, and this time they would lose to the Dragons in a great contest, 14 points to 12 at the SCG, and shockingly losing to the Bulldogs in a close game at Accor Stadium in round 8, 16 points to 12. After a close loss to the Bulldogs in round 9, they will go on to smash the Gold Coast Titans 44 points to 16 at a neutral territory, or as the Roosters' home game, up at BB Prince Stadium in Mackay, before returning to the SCG before returning to Suncorp Stadium, for Magic Round against the Eels, beating them 31 points to 24, Roosters won, and then losing to the minor premiers and the premiers for 2022, Penrith Panthers at the SCG 32 points to 12 in round 11. Okay. After losing to the Panthers in round 11, the Roosters would be one of 2 teams to beat the Sharks at PointsBet Stadium. The other one was the Cowboys, beating the Sharks 36 points to 16 at PointsBet Stadium. Then the Roosters would go on to lose their next 4 games between rounds 13 and 17. Starting in round 13, the Roosters would go on to lose 4 in a row, losing to the Raiders 22-16, round 14 losing to Melbourne in a close game 26-18, losing to Parramatta Eels this time 26-16 at CommBank, and losing to Penrith again, this time 26-18 at their home ground at Penrith Park. In round 17 they had the bye, and from round 18 to round 25 their season ultimately did a 180, as the Roosters would go on to win their last 8 games of the regular season before losing their finals game against the Rabbitohs. So the Roosters' first win of their last 8 games was against the Dragons, beating them this time 54 points to 26 on the Central Coast, and then flogging Newcastle the following week in round 19 at McDonald Jones Stadium 42-12, beating Manly at Brookvale 20 points to 10, beating the Broncos in round 21 34-16, beating the Cowboys again 32 points to 18 at the SCG, which was the Cowboys' first time at the SCG. And then this one was a bloodbath, flogging and smashing the West Tigers 72 points to 6, which that was their last game at the SCG for the time being. In round 24 in a close game, beating Melbourne in Melbourne 18-14, and then beating their arch rivals the Rabbitohs at the brand new Allianz Stadium. I was there. They've won 26-16 in a great contest before finishing their finals campaigns and exiting out, losing to the Rabbitohs this time 30 points to 14, in which was a grudge match, probably one of the best games I've seen in a long time, and I've been unbiased, between the Rabbitohs and Roosters with 7 sin bins. That was unbelievable. Now, going through some of the Roosters' best wins, I reckon their first best win was against the Cowboys in round 4, winning 28 points to 4, beating the Gold Coast Titans 44-16, beating the Eels in round 10 at Magic Ground 31 points to 24 in a close game, beating the Sharks 36-16 up at PointsBet Stadium. And another good 2 wins was against the Dragons 54-26 at Central Coast Stadium, and against the Knights 42 points to 12, beating the Broncos again 34-16, and round 25 against the Rabbitohs 26-16, round 24 against Melbourne 18-14. And I think in their biggest win of the year, which I don't think this was a great match anyway, except if you're a Roosters fan, you'll probably say this was your best win of the season. I reckon this was one of the worst games I've seen of the year. 72 points to 6 they won. That was their biggest win. Now, going through the Roosters' worst losses, I think one of their most shocking results, even though it was pretty much like a low-scoring game, was against the Knights in round 1, where they lost 20 points to 6. Another loss that probably hurt them a bit was against the Panthers, 32 points to 12 in round 11. And then going on to lose against, well, that's pretty much their only big loss, 20 points to 6. But another loss I'll probably say that did hurt them was the game against the Rabbitohs in the elimination final. James Tedesco was knocked out pretty early in the game, and he was not cleared to come back for the rest of the game. So the Roosters were pretty much in their own minds after they lost their captain and most excellent player in their squad. But I think the loss against the Knights and the Rabbitohs in the elimination final were the 2 biggest losses for this season. And their loss against the Panthers, where they lost 32-12, was one of their worst losses as well. The top point scorer for the Roosters this year was Sam Walker, who scored a total of 211 points, while the Roosters' top try scorer was Daniel Tupou, who scored a total of 16 tries. Some of the Roosters' best players from this year, I'll probably say the obvious: James Tedesco, their captain, Sam Walker, and Luke Keary, both a deadly halves combination. Both played very well this year, despite the Roosters' up and down in the early to mid pack of the season. I reckon Matthew Lodge, coming from New Zealand Warriors, was a questionable decision at the time before he debuted for the club, but overall he played very well during his time with the Roosters. A lot more. So Wale played alright this year. The centres pairings, other than Joseph Manu, every other centre and winger played alright. Tupou played alright, but Joseph Manu was probably one of the more better players for this year, despite going down with an injury in their clash against the Rabbitohs in round 25, and him being out for the finals game against the Rabbitohs as well, a big blow for them. If Manu was there, I think the result of the finals game could have been different, but it is what it is. Before we get into the signings as of 19th of October, the Roosters let go of 4 players throughout this year, and the 4 players were Lachlan Lamb, who went to the League Cetarians, who play in the Bradford Championship, which is the second tier of the British Rugby League, or the Super League, up there in the UK. And Freddie Lussick and Ronald Volkman went to the Warriors, and Daniel Saluda Fafita went to the Rabbitohs. Even though he was coming to the club from next year, he got an early release and came to the Rabbitohs just a couple of rounds before the end of the season. So the Roosters have only gained 2 players at this stage. The first one is Jackson Paulo from my team, the Rabbitohs, and a massive one, Brendan Smith from the Melbourne Storm. So many players have been either released or gone to other clubs from the Roosters, and the players are following. And note, the NRL website has not officially updated all of it. So here is the following. So Tom Carr has been released. Oliver Gilder will be returning to the West Tigers after being loaned from them. Adam Kieran's been released. Matthew Lodge has been released. Ben Mask has been released. Kevin Nakiyama, Kevin Nakiyama has gone to the Huddersfield Giants. Chuki Hole Topauha, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, has been released. Sayo Takanoa has gone to the Catalan Dragons. Ben Thompson's been released, and the biggest one, Sam Verrills, has gone to the Gold Coast Titans. Overall, the Roosters' season for this year, especially towards the back end of the season, was great. They had a shaky start to start the year and towards the middle part, but finishing 8 in a row was unbelievable. So I'll give them a reasonable grade, a 7 out of 10. I'll give them a 7 out of 10, just mainly on the performance towards the back end of the season. They had 8 in a row wins, which no one saw coming. Many people wrote off the Roosters season after rounds 16, as they were outside the top 8, in 10th place at that point, or around there. But overall, the likes of James Tedesco, Joseph Manu, and Sam Verrills, Angus Crichton, and many other players managed to step up the Roosters game and make the Roosters finishing in 6th place, even despite bowing out in the elimination final against their rivals, the South Sydney Rabbitohs. But overall, the Roosters' season this year was great. They will finish in the top 8, most definitely next year. Top 4, I'm going to probably say 50-50 about this one. It's too early to say. With the addition of Brendan Smith coming in, and after his experience down there in Melbourne, he's going to bring that towards the Roosters, and hopefully the Roosters don't fizzle out, and don't miss out on the top 8. I hope they do make it, but it's too early to make a prediction. Many people, I've seen many 2023 ladder prediction videos already. Like I said, it's way too early. Even though it's early predictions, it's way too early to do it. But yeah, so overall, Roosters 7 out of 10, great season, 8 wins in a row to finish the year. Yeah, they were just good this year. So great this year. They'll do better next year. And that will conclude my 2022 season NRL season review of the Sydney Roosters. Roosters had a great season this year. they will definitely do better next year, finish in the top 8, top 4, 50-50 chance. Too early to call a prediction. I'll come back around February or start of March, or towards the end of February, to make that prediction. Now, in the next video, I will be doing the Brisbane Broncos on their season, and disappointing end of how they ended the season, but that will come out in a couple of days. Next video I'm planning to do as well, that will come out this week. We'll be reacting to my 2022 ladder prediction from February or March. I've had a look over. I was pretty surprised and a bit heartbroken with some of the results, but that will come out probably, I'm probably going to say Friday or Saturday or Sunday towards the end of the week. But anyways, that will conclude my season review for the Roosters. I'll see each and every one of you in the next video. Take care.